Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It is a new day, so we have a new problem. All right. If you guys don't remember me talking about this, we upgraded our fuel injectors. They are going to be installed this video. We went with a Dynomite 6.7 40% over nozzle installed on our bodies. Now, that is just something I told Skylar my situation. Skylar's like, "Oh, dude, like let's just use your injectors." I said, "Cool." So I shipped them out there. That is the way you do nozzles, in my opinion. You send them to the company you purchased the nozzles from. They install them and balance them. And Skylar said it worked out really good. I'm going to be really happy with them. And we got a 12 millimeter CP3 pump from Dynomite. Those are good for about 1,000 to 1,100 on fuel only. And then the injectors that we have should do 750, 800 pretty nicely. So, we also have to talk about our valve springs and push rods. Now, when you are running compound turbos, we have more boost pressure. When we have more boost pressure, the valves need a little bit more seat pressure. All right, so you have two pressures to worry about on valve springs. All right, you have the pressure of it sitting there with no pressure on the push rod. That's your seat pressure. And then you also have the ramp, I suppose, pressure. And then you have the over the nose pressure. So these are the power driven diesel 4.5K RPM valve springs. These are about, I think they're 103 to 105 pounds seat pressure. I can ask Meyer before this video is over on the over the nose pressure, but these work really good on stock cam, stock lifter, even some pretty decent horsepower builds to secure it. Now, they reuse your factory locks and retainers, which is fine, and then they replace it with this spring. So this is the valve spring. Obviously, there is 24 of them for the 24 valves, and then these are our PDD 24 valve stage 2 push rods. So these are a 7/16 outer diameter, a 120 wall. These things, Meyer and I have pushed well beyond 1,300 horsepower, so these should be plenty to get us going. Now, the only thing I will say before you dive into this, when you change valve springs or you change push rods or you change both, do not, and I'm telling you, do not just throw your rocker arms back on and send them home, okay? That is a great way to push an intake valve into the piston, and then you got to pull the whole head off to fix that valve. And I know this because I've done this. It was a long time ago, but I have made this mistake. Do not let this happen to you. So I use a Tortec valve spring tool. I'm going to just get to work on them, knock them out, and we'll pick up the camera as we go. Maybe I'll do a time lapse, but we've done plenty of valve spring, push rod, head stud style videos. Let's just get to it. Okay, so here we are. I got the injectors are already out, obviously. You can tell by the paper towel. But I have our push rods and valve springs exposed. We are going to go ahead and install our valve spring compressor tool and start doing our valve springs here. So I'm going to remove these paper towels out of my injector hole. We'll reuse those, I'm sure. And put our tool on. I use the Tortec tool. I've shown that tool many times. It's honestly, I probably got that back in 2015, 2014. Like, once you get a good tool, like, you kind of don't need to do anything else. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get started on this. What I like to do is I start on 1 and I do 1 and 6 together. I get my rhythm, figure out, just kind of refresh myself real quick on 1, which is the easiest. Then I do 6, then I rotate the engine over and I can do 5 and 2 together. And then I rotate the engine and do 4 and 3 together. So we'll knock these out. And then to change your push rods, we'll just pull our push rods out and swap our new ones in, put some assembly lube on there. We don't have the injectors yet, so we will not be able to complete this today, but the next time we're out here, we'll be doing injectors and the CP tray right there. You guys remember when I started this video, I was bragging about how this tool's been flawless? Well, not anymore. We galled it up. So quick run to Tractor Supply and my boy, the Murr, on some quick calculations here. What we have decided is we are going to try this carriage bolt to finish it out and see what happens. So we're going to do a carriage bolt with this washer. Maybe not. I don't know. You guys kind of get the gist here. But we're going to do a carriage bolt through here. I ordered a replacement bolt. The problem is it's a 3.5 inch fully threaded, 1/2 inch by, I think, 1/2 inch 20. Might be 1/2 inch 18, but 1/2 inch fine thread, grade 8. And no one has that. I couldn't even find a nut for it. So we're going to try and make this work. And I'm going to get back to it. Okay, guys. So here we have the PDD valve spring versus the stock one. As you can see, a little taller. The PDD one's also a little tighter around the seat. So we are doing the last cylinder right now, and I figured, you know what, I might as well show you guys the difference between these PDD 4.5 case to your stalkers. This tool actually held up okay. It just kept working itself loose every time, so you had to retighten it when you changed over. But now it's time to pull our valves, or our push rods out, and put these fancy new ones in from PDD. For push rods, like I said, guys, are stage 2s. I did a TikTok on this as well. This is your factory push rod. These work really good in stock applications. All right, they are pretty infallible. The problem you run into, like tow and heavy, I've seen guys bend these. They come in knocking, sounding like they need a motor. It's just a push rod. But what can happen is as these ride on the cam, these can deflect and you lose valve lift and valve or cam duration. So by replacing it with one of these, you gain more rigidity in this column here, and it will actually open the valve longer and open the valve further because these do not deflect. These are their stage 2s. Hell, I'll be honest, I think we've used these up to like 1600 horsepower. I've never had an issue with it. These are kind of one of these, you buy once, cry once. If you're building like a race vehicle, I always say the stage 3s are about as far as you're going to go on a non-deck plate application anyway. So there are, I think there's even stage 4s as well. But these 7/16 120 wall will get the job done on our tow truck. So we're going to go ahead, finish installing these. I just put a little dab of assembly lube on the tip that goes into the push or the rocker. And then as you guys can see here, we have put a little bit of assembly lube on the end that the rocker arm itself goes into right there. And now I'm gonna go ahead and throw our rocker arms just back in here loosely, less to keep track of. And then we'll seal this up and wait for our injectors and our CP3 pump to finish out this video, but we got it done. One thing I did note on the wire tuck here, you guys can kind of see the foil that we use there to kind of keep some of the water and debris out. Also, when you put your push rods on, the harness right there on the first hole kind of gets in the way. So if you do push rods, do them before you wire tuck, okay? And if you do wire tuck and then you need to work on it after, that's fine. Just make sure you pop your wiper cowl off. Okay, we are back on this. You guys remember we just did our valve springs, more so reminding myself where we're at on this video, but now it is very exciting. Our fuel system is here. So we have our new injectors from Dynomite. I shouldn't say new, our remans. We sent them our injectors and had them put nozzles on them. And what I find with that is you get a better balance and they potentially spot any problems before they become a problem. And as you guys can see here, these are our 40% over, so 150 horsepower injector. So that's what the 6.7 150 is for. There's our nozzle flow. This is our balance sheet here. As you guys can see, our full, so this is the largest part of our test stand, 180 MPa, 1700 microseconds. Look at that balance right there. I mean, 0.65 up here. This is going to be your idle-ish. Generally, you'll have a little bit more MPa, a little less pulse width, but man, it's crazy how tight they get these things. And then inside of this box here is our 12 mil CP3 that I'm going to go ahead and get out. And there you have it, folks, our 12 mil CP3. I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the bag and get this painted up. I normally paint these pumps just so that way after, you know, a few hundred miles, they don't look like they came out of the bottom of the Titanic. But let's get this painted up. I think I'm just going to go black for simplicity. Man, it's been a while since we've put a 12 mil pump on anything we've owned. We've kind of been on the 14 mil train here a lot lately, but, you know, tow truck than a tow truck, but this is how you know it's a 12 mil from DDP. They stamp DDP in the snout as well as a 12 mil, and this is what you get. Seal already pre-installed, packaged nice. Again, here's our injectors here. Well, either way, you guys get the gist, and we'll get this installed today. So here is our beautiful DDP Reman 6.7 with the 40% over nozzle. And here's my old hold downs. So I'm gonna get these all plinked in to the engine. One thing I will say, just a little bit of oil or assembly lube on the upper O-ring here go a really long way. The copper washers that Dynomite sends on their common rails, they stick pretty good to the body. I've never had to add grease. So if you're like coming from a 12 valve VP style stuff where they can fall off or tend to fall off. Don't do that. And we're going to make sure that we don't take this off till right when we go to throw them in. I'm going to keep this covered up real quick. I'm going to go pull our valve cover, rocker box, and all that stuff off this truck real quick so we can get these dropped in and be one step closer to firing this truck up. Okay, so we got our injectors loosely in. I tightened the hold downs down to 50 inch-pounds, back them off to seat them. Now, listen guys, just a hack in my garage here. We're raw dogging these connecting tubes right back in. Honestly, these things are in fantastic shape, no deformation in the sealing ring, so we're throwing them right back in. It also helps, so if you're going to reuse connecting tubes or not to reuse connecting tubes, that is the question. If they're not rusty, 1, if you didn't have a fuel system problem, 2, and 3, if there's no deformation or indentation on the connecting tube, like it's still square or rounded essentially, you can reuse them. So this is an 80,000 mile truck, 78,000 miles. We've had 0 fuel system issues, and my connecting tubes have 0 rust on them. I mean, just like this is it right here, like a little bit where it sits on the bottom, like that's it. We are going to reuse them. So again, at your own risk. I've done a TikTok about this. I've talked about it on YouTube. Ultimately, it's your choice. If a shop is recommending connecting tubes with new injectors, they're probably right. Since these are our old injectors that we put nozzles on, and since if this goes wrong, it's my fault and my labor, we're just gonna send them in, raw dog them. It'll be fine. We put a little bit of semi-lube on, and I'll get this put in. I'll put the rail on, rocker arms in, set the lash, and kind of show you guys at the end. You guys have seen me do that time and time and time again. We do have an update. The pump has had 2 coats of primer, 2 coats of black spray paint, so we are done with that. Look at that old girl just up there, and everything's still, like, all the fuel passages are closed, and then we'll call that good. We also got a little helper out here hanging out, so there she be. Guys, our valve lash be valve lashing 10 and 20 on the 360 method. We've done tons of videos on that, so I'm trying to skip the repetitive stuff. There's the last look at our DDPs in there. And now I'm going to throw the rocker box, the valve cover gasket, and our valve cover back on to keep this sealed up, as well as our rail, and we'll pick up this video once that is complete. And now for the last part of our video, we got to pull this CP tray out. Easiest thing I've found on the 6.7s and 5.9s, undo the ECM and just let it dangle and push it back a little bit. We got our AirDog quick disconnect line off already. We got to remove the fuel return line, the fuel supply line up to the rail, and I got the FCA disconnected. There are 3 13 mil nuts on studs that hold this in, and then we also have to go into our access hole. The easiest thing I found on the access hole, just take the belt off real quick. It takes no time to take the belt off. It makes your life 1,000 times easier. So we are going to go ahead and go that route. On the 13 to 18 trucks, I want to say the ECM's 4 10 mil bolts. Once I get this out, I'll kind of show you guys down in here so you got a better idea of what you're up against. Okay, it is much later at night, guys, but as you can see here, pump is off. I unbolted the ECM, undid that front plug. Out she came. There is your CCV return, by the way, in case you're curious. And yeah, now we're going to put our stroker pump in, and I'll show you guys that once she's done. And there she is, folks, with our new EAST in there for fuel pressure. So we'll have fuel pressure and boost pressure now on our Edge CTS monitor. You guys can see fresh washers on the banjo bolt, fresh washers on that banjo bolt. Everything is tight that I'm aware of. I'm sure we'll make a mess here soon. Got our belt back on, our CP3 cover. Yeah, FCA plug in, tuck some more of the harness down out of the way. So, man, I think looking at this, I might relume this engine harness just because it looks pretty hideous. And that should pretty much wrap it up. I am going to go ahead and throw our intake manifold on to kind of seal up this side of the engine. And then, yeah, that's about it. I also have a new part, but I'm going to save that for when we install the compounds from our good buddy Blake Fitzgerald. So I'm going to pitter patter and let's end this video off. So guys, in a nutshell, on this video, we got our valve springs, power driven diesel, push rods, power driven diesel, injectors from Dynomite diesel products, and a 12 mil CP3 from Dynomite. A 12 mil pump on fuel only, 1,000 to 1,100 horsepower is about all they'll do. You can spray them to probably 1,300. The 40% overs with a sane pulse width, about 750. We could probably get into the 850, or no, 30s would get us closer to 750. I mean, 40s on a normal tune file, about 800. We could probably stretch these things out to 900 if we wanted to. I don't want to, it's a tow truck, but 40s give us quite a bit of wiggle room. In shooting for this, our tow tune essentially should be about 550 horsepower. Our old tow tune was probably 415, 420. So we're definitely gonna gain at least 100 horsepower towing. And then our street mileage tune, that one was probably 450. It's probably gonna be closer to 675 now with these fuel upgrades. And again, guys, I've done nozzle install videos and I've always recommended to send them in just as I did. But again, I'm just some idiot on YouTube. Do with this at your own risk. But yeah, big thank you to Dynomite on the 12 mil pump and the injector swap. Skylar, appreciate you. And then power driven, Tim over there getting us set up with valve springs, push rods, and those installed well. And again, my code is still active. It does help me out and help you out, so I appreciate it when you guys use it. And guys, the next video in our 4th gen series will be assembling it all and first fire. Like, I got all the pipes, powder coat, and we are ready to go. This was really the last hurdle on our list. Once we do fire it up though, a lot of work. Got coolant and trans fluid, like we got a bunch of stuff to check off the list, but we are really dang close. So give this one a big thumbs up, drop your comments down below, subscribe if you're not already, and as always, I'll catch y'all on the next one.